There are two ocean cities not so far apart in the mid-Atlantic US, one in New Jersey and one in Maryland. They're only 70 miles away from each other, and if you're going to one of them, you usually have to specify which one when talking to people. And not only that, but both are very similar. Both are known for being vacation destinations with boardwalks and an overall exciting and entertaining atmosphere. So which one is better for you to visit? Let's talk about the similarities and differences between them. Ocean City, New Jersey is near the southern end of the Jersey Shore and the state altogether, in Cape May County. It's basically one large barrier island all to itself, and there are 4 bridges on or off. One effectively to the next barrier island north to Longport and towards Atlantic City, one south towards Sea Isle City, and 2 to the mainland. What this means, though, is that people venturing to the Jersey Shore have a ton of choices of specific beach towns, and different kinds of beach towns, even just in this area. Atlantic City, less than 10 miles north, has very different kinds of entertainment options than Ocean City. And some tourists might even prefer places like Sea Isle City, Wildwood, or Cape May. So not everyone in the area is coming just to Ocean City, so it's naturally not going to be as crowded as a place like Ocean City, Maryland, where that's mostly the only choice in the area. Now, as you'd expect of a place with the name Ocean City, the centerpiece is the beach and the boardwalk. While it's not as famous as the Atlantic City boardwalk, this one is 2 miles long, with only the northernmost mile being commercialized. The southern half is just along the backside of houses, with a couple of hotels and condos and rentals near the middle. The main touristy part of town sits in the roughly half-square-mile triangle between the beach, the ends of the commercialized boardwalk, and Ocean Avenue. There are amusement parks, hotels, condos, and all the boardwalk attractions you can think of. There is, however, a different downtown along Asbury Avenue, where there are a few touristy shops, but it seems like a lot of it's actually geared towards locals. And once you get out of these 2 areas, you can see that the rest of the city is pretty much all residential, with substantial houses and somewhat walkable communities, some of which are gridded, and some to the north, which are winding. There are highly visible schools, parks, athletic fields, small restaurants, and businesses, and the whole area seems quiet and not overrun with tourists like you would think. The southern end of the city is all like this as well, and the development doesn't even take up the entire area of the southern end, as there are wetlands and a state park there. So while Ocean City, New Jersey is certainly a popular place for tourists, it's not even close to being the craziest tourist town in its own state, much less even the area. I think most people would consider Atlantic City, Wildwood, and even places like Seaside Heights to be more of a party atmosphere. This city's population in 2020 was 11,000, which is pretty high for a beach town like this. So there are clearly many full-time residents that the city is catering to already. Ocean City, Maryland is not quite on a barrier island, rather it's on the Barrier Peninsula, ironically known as Fenwick Island. It's also technically a town and not a city, and the population is only around 7,000. That should be a hint of who this town caters more to. Anyway, the town sits on a very narrow 9-mile strip with an average width of maybe a quarter mile. What this means is that there aren't a ton of residential neighborhoods, or at least not walkable ones. And some of these houses are definitely not normal sized. There is one main road going north to south in town, the 8-lane Coastal Highway. And for most of this stretch, that being north of 27th Street, there are shopping centers on the west side of this road, and on the east side are lots of hotels and beach rentals. And for this 6-mile stretch, that's pretty much what it is, and it mostly caters to vacationers who don't want to be around the boardwalk area. So now, let's talk about the southern end of town. The large boardwalk starts at 27th Street and runs 2¼ miles all the way to the southern end of the peninsula, and it's rather packed for the entire stretch. While the largest hotels seem to be along the northernmost mile, there are smaller hotels and boardwalk shops and attractions everywhere, culminating with the arcade and amusement park zone right by the fishing pier. I've gotta say, it's perhaps the most substantial beach boardwalk on the East Coast, with the packed parts stretching longer than any other beach boardwalk I can think of, like Myrtle Beach or Daytona Beach, and it even competes well with the famous boardwalk in Atlantic City, but without the gigantic attractions like casinos. And since the peninsula is so narrow at the southern point, Everything inland is either catering to the beach, with touristy restaurants, shops, small rentals, convenience stores, or parking lots, or it's catering to the many marinas directly to the west. And since the town stretches 9 miles with people all over, there is a bus service that takes people north and south, although I could usually bike faster than them with all the traffic lights. Like New Jersey's Ocean City, there are 4 ways into and out of town, with 2 bridges across the bays to the mainland, and effectively 2 distinct roads out to the north into Delaware. And unlike Ocean City, New Jersey, people going on beach vacations in this area have fewer other choices of places to go to. There's Assateague Island to the south, which is a remote state park known for its wild horses, and to the north, there are the Delaware beach towns of Bethany Beach, Dewey Beach, Rehoboth Beach, and Lewis, but they're slightly further away, and not as grand as Ocean City itself. Ocean City, Maryland has 5.5 square miles of land, and Ocean City, New Jersey has 6 3/4 square miles. But the Maryland Ocean City feels way bigger and more built up. First of all, almost all of the land is used up, while nearly a quarter of New Jersey's is taken by uninhabited wetlands. And also in New Jersey, less than 1 square mile of the city is tourist-oriented, and the rest is mostly single-family residential zones. While in Maryland, over 75% of the used land caters to tourists. Which is more crowded? I mentioned the official census populations, but in Ocean City, New Jersey, the estimated summer population is in the 120,000 ballpark. But in Maryland, that figure is more in the 320,000 ballpark, with an estimated 8 million visitors annually. That makes sense, since more of the town is set up for vacationers. And remember, Ocean City, New Jersey is one of many beach town choices in the area, so the population is diluted. Also, Maryland's Ocean City attracts many vacationers from the Baltimore and DC metro areas, and in this case, this is the most convenient resort beach town, thanks to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. Ocean City, New Jersey attracts people from the New York and Philadelphia areas, but it's still not the most convenient beach town. There are plenty of closer areas to the north along the shore. And even if people do travel to the southern part of the shore, again, they have many towns to choose from. Which has the better boardwalk? Maryland does. Even though it's not by a gigantic margin, it's definitely longer, and there are definitely more interesting things going on, a larger arcade zone, significantly bigger amusement parks, a Ripley's Believe It or Not, more flamboyant boardwalk-side hotels, and more people, creating a larger cast of characters all over. Ocean City, New Jersey has all of this too, just slightly less so. Which has a better beach? They both seem fine. I do believe that Maryland's beaches sometimes have sporting events on them, but they wouldn't interfere with the other beachgoers. In fact, on the contrary, it gives you something fun to watch. Some people also enjoy boating in these places too. So which is better for that? Well, both ocean cities have plenty of public and private marinas on their inland sides, and they're directly on bays where you can just hang out or fish, or potentially travel around the bays or into other rivers. You'll have a good time in either place. What about for people like me, though, who like to bike? I'll give the nod to New Jersey's Ocean City. For biking in town, the roads are less crazy, and you can more peacefully explore the different neighborhoods of town without dealing with a ton of traffic. Or if you want to do a longer ride, you have more options in New Jersey, as you can go north to Atlantic City or south towards Cape May, and go through many nice beach towns and bridges and islands along the way. You could even go inland to the Pine Barrens if you have a ton of extra time. In Maryland's Ocean City, you can go south towards Assateague Island, but it's not an overly pleasant ride, and most cyclists instead go north into Delaware towards Rehoboth Beach, and you pass a couple nice beach towns, but it's almost entirely along the side of the coastal highway. I've done it 4 times now, and I enjoy it, but it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. What if you want a quiet vacation? Well, I wouldn't recommend going to either place then, but definitely New Jersey's Ocean City will have the more quiet areas, just to be fair for this checklist. But I definitely recommend Maryland's for nightlife then. Remember, they are catering way more to tourists. New Jersey also has the nicer natural scenery with the wetlands and dunes, while Maryland is more about the man-made scenery, more along the lines of Las Vegas. Which one's easier to get to? Well, it depends which one you live closer to, obviously. But, fortunately for both of them, they both have dedicated highways leading from the populated parts of their regions right to their doorstep. Maryland has US 50, known as the Ocean Gateway, leading from the Bay Bridge right to Ocean City, although there are parts with stoplights. New Jersey has the Atlantic City Expressway, leading right from the Philadelphia area to Atlantic City, and then you'd connect to Ocean City via the Garden State Parkway. So no issues with either one. But Ocean City, New Jersey is slightly closer to Philadelphia than Maryland's is to Baltimore or DC. Which is easier to get around? Well, Maryland has the bus service all the way up and down the peninsula. While Ocean City, New Jersey doesn't have that, people are also more likely to walk around town and to or from the beach. But there's also less to go to in New Jersey. There are all kinds of attractions around town in Maryland, but not really in New Jersey, so I don't know who to give the nod to here. And lastly, which one is better for events? Definitely Maryland. They have festivals year-round to try to attract people to the area. Ocean City, New Jersey doesn't have that in the same volume. They are overshadowed by Atlantic City in that regard. So which Ocean City is better for you? If you want to move there to live there, I'd easily recommend New Jersey. But I'm guessing that's not what you're looking to do. If you're vacationing by yourself or with a group of friends, Maryland's Ocean City clearly has the bigger party scene, and dedicated hotel zones to the north, where you might be less likely to have a ton of families far away from the boardwalk. That's if you want to avoid families. If you're vacationing with family, New Jersey could be the one for you, especially if you're nearby already. But Maryland should still work if it's more convenient for you. It just won't be as quiet. If you're in New Jersey and want a place with a comparable entertainment atmosphere of Ocean City, Maryland, you'll probably want to go 20 miles downshore to Wildwood, where there's a larger, more bustling boardwalk with larger amusement parks and usually more events. In conclusion, I suspect that more people coming to either of these ocean cities are looking for an exciting, energetic vacation and not a remote, quiet place. So in total, Ocean City, Maryland will have more of it all. While Ocean City, New Jersey is an integral part of the Jersey Shore and is a very nice option among the many places you can go there, Ocean City, Maryland is effectively the vacation capital of its region, making it the primary gathering point for people like you and me in the area. So now I ask you, which Ocean City do you like better? Have you been to both, or either? Or are you planning a trip to one of them? Do you like going there? Or are there other places you like better? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.